Hey everybody, I started this really cool program that Lyft has called Lyft Express about 2 months ago, and I've learned a ton in that time that I think is going to be really helpful if you're deciding if you want to be a driver or if you're just exploring it. Now, this is a really unique program, and there's ways to get the most out of it. And I'm going to be really transparent and show you pay stubs and pretty much all the things that you need to consider doing this. Okay. So my face is going to disappear for a little bit. I'm going to hit you with the PowerPoint. How I made $1,185 in 1 week driving Lyft. And that on the right-hand side is what my pay stub looks like. $1,185.27, and I live in Los Angeles, California. So first things first, you can actually make $600 to $1,000 even before your first ride using my Lyft referral code. Use that referral code when you sign up. I'll also put it in the description, and we will both get paid based on you using that code. So that's a really easy way, and they pay you a certain amount after a certain amount of rides. It changes based on the bonus they have, but that's going to get you money pretty much right away. So that's an awesome thing. That's my referral code. Super appreciate you guys using that. That's really awesome and helps us both. So let me talk about the Lyft Express program, okay? You can rent a car through Lyft and drive and not use your own car. And that is game changing, okay? Because the bad thing about Uber or Lyft is that you have to put, there's expenses like gas, but when you use your own car, there's so much depreciation. You're putting a ton of miles on it, which means that you have more oil changes, which means things are going to break down. And then at some point you got to buy a new car. And at that point, I don't think it's worth it to actually do anything else other than Lyft Express. I literally think this is the best way to do it, where it's reasonable, where you can make a little bit of money and not have to worry about that, because Lyft covers not only the car, but they actually insure you as well. So the only thing you're on the hook for is gas, making sure the car is kept clean, so vacuuming it, and then car washes when you return it back to them. Everything else goes to your pocket. So you have to make 125 rides, with 45 of those during peak hours, and I'll share what that is a little bit later, during the week, starting at Monday at 5 a.m., okay? I'm going to give you an idea on what that looks like, but this is a full-time thing that you have to do. But the great thing is you can go 1 week on, 1 week off, because you can make a decent amount in just 1 week, okay? So Lyft Express is great for a few people. If you're in between jobs, if you're an actor, artist, musician, post-grad, newly moved to LA, or you just hate having a boss, Lyft Express is a really, really awesome thing you can do. You will have to spend a good amount of time driving, so know that. So you may not have a ton of time for whatever projects you're working on at that moment, but like I said, you can go 1 week on or 1.5 weeks on, and then, a few days off or a week off or whatever, and make as much money you can in that time period, and then take a little break, because it can get exhausting. Okay. Hi, here's my face again. Okay. So when should you drive? So we talked about peak rides, and for the most part, it's 7 to 9 a.m. and 4 to 6 p.m. are peak hours, and where you have to make 45 rides to get the car basically paid for. So those are not only the best for peak hours, meaning you get those rides, the 45 is your quota, but those are also the time in which it's prime time. And so you're going to make more money per ride based on that. So here's what my schedule is usually. I'll usually do Monday through Thursday, 6 to 10 a.m., go home, take a little siesta, eat lunch, go to the gym, and then go back out at 3, and then try and end around 8 or 9. And then on Friday and Saturday, I'll go really, really hard from about 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. And then Sunday, I'll take it off. And this allows me to hit 125 rides, no problem. It's only rarely I have to do Sundays as well. But those are pretty much my hours, but I'm the one who decides when I want to drive, and that's pretty cool. So what to keep? Here's a few things I always make sure I keep with me: a phone charger, not only for my phone but for other people who come in the car and they need a charger, an aux cord, so I can play my music or a customer can play their music. Business cards. I'll explain why that's important later. I have gum in my car, not only for me but for passengers. It's people are usually pretty happy about it. Um, it's a nice thing to have. I don't really do like the bottle of water thing or stuff that like is really messy or you have to restock up on all the time. Gum is really cheap, but it's like a nice gesture. And then I have a couple bottles of water for myself at all times in the car. You got to make sure you stay hydrated, but if you drink too much water, then you have to make stops to the bathroom, and that's no fun, obviously. And then, listen, I've made 760 trips and I've only had 2 people throw up. Okay. So it's not that big of a risk, but you do want to be prepared. So I have these really thick grocery bags that I keep in the car all time. And both times people have thrown up in them and didn't get any in the car. So it's super helpful. Keep those in your whip. Okay. As well as have a small towel in case there's any spills or, you want to just wipe up your dash, and then have napkins as well, just for any accidents. I haven't had anybody spill anything, okay, in 765 rides. So people are generally pretty courteous, pretty clean, but I would recommend the grocery bags, okay? One question I always had was like, what to play on the radio? Like, do I choose? Do I let others choose? And let me get back to my face. And basically, if it's under 30 minutes, I'll listen to whatever I want. If it's more than 30 minutes, I'll be like, hey, do you have anything you want to listen to? And most of the time people say no, but sometimes, they'll play their music or a podcast or something like that. And that's, pretty interesting a lot of the time. I'll usually mix it up between podcasts and music just so like, my brain is still working even as I'm like sitting and, driving. And then I would say, know who's in your car. Okay. If grandma's in your whip, don't be listening to Migos or Travis Scott, okay? Turn on the radio, something very neutral, poppy, Bruno Mars, whatever. Just don't be playing, some 6ix9ine while people are in your car, okay? I had a really embarrassing moment because I like hip hop where there's this very, very vulgar song, very, very sexual song, and I forgot how sexual it was until I heard one of the verses, and it was like decently loud, and I was so embarrassed. I definitely won't share it though. It's Jam by Kevin Gates. Next is a question: is do riders tip? And the answer is it depends. But based on my pay stub, I had people tip $100 almost, $86, which I'm pretty happy with actually. So that was really nice. And why do people tip? Or how do you know you're doing a good job? Well, be cool is the message, okay? I have a 5-star rating and over 767 rides, okay? So for me, I'm curious about people. People will give you a tone and let you know whether they want to talk or not. If they don't want to talk, I don't want to talk either. But if they do want to talk, people are interesting and they're pretty transparent and vulnerable because they know they'll never see you again for the most part. And so you can have like some pretty real conversations. And I think that's the coolest part about this is that sometimes you forget you're driving and you're just like, it's like you're at a bar having a conversation with someone who is from a different country, who believes something different politically, who works a job that's super interesting, who has a life story they want to tell you. I've talked to a guy who was a recovering heroin addict who now has this amazing job and this great life, and it was such a cool like story. And then I picked up this great lady who was a documentarian for Michelle Obama actually. So you're gonna meet all kinds of cool people. So I keep that in mind. It's easy to just ghost and be like, I don't want to talk to anybody, but at the end of the day, like if you're friendly to people and you're curious and you ask good questions, you're going to learn some stuff. And not only will you learn some stuff, but you may make some friends, even some lifelong friends. And there's people I've met from doing Lyft that I still talk to, that I hang out with, because it is a pretty like you're able to build a connection with people because you're in the car sometimes 5, 10, 15, 30, 45 minutes with people. So you actually can build a, relationship. I mean, that's a long time to be with a stranger and be able to have a conversation with them. So I think that's one of my favorite things about it. And especially if you're new to a city, this is an amazing way to get familiar with the landscape and the people and make some friends and understand what the city's like. And for me, just moving to Los Angeles, I've really enjoyed going from Beverly Hills to South Central to Malibu to Long Beach to Manhattan Beach, even down to Irvine. I've been. So you're going to have quite the experience and diversity of folks, which I think is really, really exciting. Here's something that I haven't touched on yet is prime time. Okay, so what Lyft will show you is a map of where rides cost more, okay? And it will change based on what they think the demand is going to be in that area or people who are on the app looking at that point. And the thing is, it's going to be very tempting to go chase these areas, okay? Like for me, if I'm, let's say I'm here in Santa Monica and I see it's cracking in Beverly Hills, I could be like, you know what? Let me take the 2 to Beverly Hills, okay? Or, let me take the 1 and get down to like sort of this area. I forget what it's called. But the thing is, it's like here today, gone tomorrow. The surges, I don't chase the surge, okay? Anytime I've chased it, by the time I get there, it's too late. So not only have I not made that money, but I've also lost a ride that I could have made somewhere else. So at the end of the day, the app is going to take you where the app's going to take you, and you have no control over it. And if you focus on that or worry about that, you're going to drive yourself crazy. So I don't even worry about it, okay? It's just going to take care of itself, and it's going to average out over time, okay? One of the first weeks I did it, I only made $52.81. On this one, I made $244, okay? So you're not going to have control over it. What you can control is whether you drive while it's primetime hours, right? So peak hours, like we were saying, so morning, evening for work times, and also on the weekends, pretty much all afternoon to late night on Friday and Saturday as well, and a little bit on Sunday. So don't chase the surges. Just trust that it will all average out over time because it usually does, okay? So I did a little bit of stats on, what rides are like. And shortest ride I had in the last 100 rides was 0.37 miles. It was like these little kids who were just like literally going up the hill. Luckily, they were close by, so I didn't have to drive far to them. Longest ride was only 27 miles. I've had rides that were like 50, 60, 70 miles. So this was actually a week in which I didn't have that long of a ride, but I had a few around this. Average ride is 5.6 miles, and half my rides are between 2 miles and around 8 miles. So that's the information that I hope can help you determine that. And then finally, like I promised, here's my pay stub. I earned $775 with prime time on top of that, $245, tips 86. I had 2 people cancel, so $10. And then I hit the 125 ride bonus, the 90% acceptance score with 45 peak hours. So that's $195. And then the ride challenge bonus, which was on top of the rental reward, so 111. So I made $1,422. And then the vehicle rental, 209, and then taxes and fees, 28. But that's for the car and insurance. And so I took home $1,185, and then gas was probably $150. So my take home was probably like $1,030 or something. But that's in 1 week. The thing is, you do have to drive a lot. So keep that in mind. You do have to drive a lot. Make sure you don't have a ton else on your plate. This is good for getting you what you need, which is cash quick, okay? And especially if you come to LA and you're a musician or an actor or whatever it is, you can't choose whether you get a brand ambassador role or whether this commission or freelance check is coming in, sometimes even if you're making low dollars per hour, you just got to bring something in regardless and put in the time to do it. And so with Lyft Express, you're not putting any mileage on your car. You can take home over $1,000 a week. Sometimes people tip you in cash as well. I got probably $20 of tips in cash, and you're going to have great conversations and really get to know the city. And I think that's a really cool part of it about it. Let me go back and plug the referral code. Let's make both you and I some money. Hope this helps, and can make a big difference in your life and getting you the money you need so you can, live in Los Angeles or New York or San Francisco or wherever you want to be where this program exists. Really hope it helps. Best luck to you.